Hey there, this is Scott with Brown Cow Design. Today we're going to do a tutorial on how to create a new page and then to lay that page out using the content management system that comes with the 7 theme, which is called Visual Composer. Visual Composer is a very widely popular content builder. It's kind of one of the first ones that was out there, and it makes adding content to your pages and actually even now your posts now for your blog so much easier than the old way with just using WordPress. So here's what we're going to do is we're going to log into the back end of your area and we're going to come over to pages, and what you can do is you can just click add new. Now once you bring in a new page, what you can do is you can immediately give it a title right off the bat. The page will load fully when you see Visual Composer down here. If you'll see down here at the bottom, the page is still loading right here where it says waiting for cache. The page is actually still loading at this point. And that's just because Visual Composer is loading in as well. For some reason this is running a little slower than what yours probably will. And so this is Visual Composer is loaded, the page is fully loaded, but you don't see Visual Composer until you click Backend Editor right here. And this is for the very first time you use Visual Composer. If you already have Visual Composer on your site, you probably won't see this. It'll probably just automatically come up. But here's what you want to do is, in order to use Visual Composer to start building a content, you have to think of content in the realm of sections and elements. And let's say you want to create a section where you have a picture and you have some text. Well, what you would do is just create an element, start by clicking add an element, and I always do it very simply by clicking a row. And a row then will be laid out in one column. That's the default. You have one column. But we said we wanted to do a picture and we wanted to do some text, so that you can actually do it where you have the column split into two. Now you have two columns, half of the page and the other half of the page. Or you can do 2/3 and 1/3, or we can flip that to 1/3, 2/3. You can do 3 columns, 4, and yada yada and yada. For this purpose, we're just going to click the 2/3, 1/3. And we're now set it up. We have 2/3 and we have 1/3. We want to actually reverse that. So if you want to, you can click anywhere in either one of these and click it and drag it over. And now you've completely swapped them. So what we want to do is we want to put a picture in over here. So you click the plus, click single image, because these are all the elements you get to use. And then a little dialog box will come up and I'll ask you certain questions about how you want this image displayed and what kind of image. So you click plus the image. I'm going to come in here and pick the cow. I'm going to set that image in here. And now we can say, well, how we want this thing to be viewed. Right now, it's always default as a thumbnail, but that's too small. So I always put in just full size, just type in full. It can ask you down here, you can type in thumbnail, medium, large, full. Those are defined sizes that are defined by the theme. And then if you know the actual pixel dimension, you can put that in as well. But I just put full because it will stretch to the dimension of the column, which is a 1/3. It's not going to be that big. You can add a caption if you want. You can set up the alignment of the image if you want. I'll keep it here on the left. You can do some default some image styling to the picture. You can have a border. You can make the picture rounded. You can do an outline, shadow, yada yada yada. I'm not going to do any of that. If you want this image to actually be something that opens up into a larger image, so when someone clicks on it, you can do these things. You can zoom. You can make the picture itself a link if you want to. So you can click that, and here it says, where do you want the link to go? And do you want it to stay in the website, or do you want it to open up a new window if it's going somewhere else? I'm not going to do any of those. I'm just going to do it just a regular old image. And there's some other things that you can do if you want, but typically I don't. So there's the picture. There's the little image I want. I'm going to click Save Changes, and now the image is over here. If you hover over anything, you can actually drag it to move it somewhere else. You can click this little pencil to edit it. You can click this to clone it, to copy it, and that will trash it. Over here we're going to add a text element, a text box. So we click the plus, come up to text block, and it'll open up the dialog box. This time it's actually going to have some lorem ipsum already queued in here for you, and there it is. So we can just act like this is actual text if you want to. If you don't see this full set of tools, it's probably because this toolbar toggle is not toggled. This is what it would look like for the very first time. You want to click this because it gives you these other things that you're going to need. Specifically, this section right here. We have pretty much said that this text is just regular old paragraph text. But if you wanted to put a header in here, let's say before this, I'm going to hit return, come back up here, and I'm going to say this is called header. And wherever the cursor is, we're going to designate what this is. There are presets, heading size 1, heading size 2, heading size 3. We'll do heading size 2. And now, as you see, it's turned this header into an actual different size, and it's bolder, and it's quite possibly maybe even a different font. Hit Save Changes, and this is what it looks like to have the layout. In each one of these boxes, I can, specifically in this holder, I can keep adding stuff if I wanted to. A lot of times after a picture, I will create some empty space. Simply because when your site goes to a mobile version, everything is going to be stacked on top of one another. And by default, it gives you 32 pixels. You can make that whatever you want. If it's not enough space, add it. Add some more. If it's too much, take some away. Hit Save Changes. And now when it stacks up, there will be a little bit of space between this, the picture, and the text, because that's the way it's going to view online. You can continue to add elements by just coming down here, creating another row if you want to. Now inside the row, we're going to add an element as well. You can do all kinds of things. You can put a separate in between sections of information. You can do a Facebook like, a tweet button, Google Plus button, Pinterest. You can do all kinds of different elements down here, as you can see. And then the last section of elements, these are all elements that are made by the theme. So they're going to match the colors and all that kind of stuff of your theme. You put slideshows in, you can put photo albums, put a banner in, put a contact form in. This is the theme contact form. All the way up here is the contact form 7. If you've already created a contact form, and you want it on here too. You can do all kinds of stuff. And so this is how you just keep adding more things. Let's say, for instance, you wanted to do a button. You can put a button in. The button then you can say what the caption is. Click here for more info, whatever. The link to where it's going to go. It's going to open in the same window, in the same website. It's going to open to a different website. However you wanted to do that. You can select the style and all that kind of stuff up here, which is set as small. If we wanted to make it a large button, these are all determined by the theme. You can change those if you want to. You can actually have an icon in there if you already know where the icon class is. You can save changes, and then all of a sudden now you have a button in here. If you wanted to preview what you have, you can just simply click preview. It's going to open in a new tab. And now in this new tab, it's going to show you what this page is going to look like. By default, I will say this, is that the pages by default already have a sidebar. Most people don't want a sidebar. So if you come back here and you come over here and say, we have a left sidebar, it's default right sidebar. I don't want a sidebar. I'm deleting that. Also, you can do different page header options. If you just want a simple page header, and we'll hit preview again and it'll update this tab. Here we have the simple header. Here's a little button. See how it scrolls over? I've not done any styling. There's our picture, there's our text, and then we have a button underneath here. Didn't name the page, so if I name the page test page, and I go back to preview, it will now put the name of this probably right up in here. Yep. And then this is called breadcrumbs, which I never put breadcrumbs in because it's a little gaudy. I don't like them, so I normally get rid of them. the way that you can do that is just simply come down here and say, hey, I want a fancy title. And this is the default, the way the title will it's a solid background. You can do it overlapping, you can do it transparent if you want. I just want a fancy title. It's going to be default. I want the title to be on the left hand side. You can make it on the right if you want. You can put it in the center if you want. Let's say for right now we'll do a left. Want breadcrumbs? No, I don't want breadcrumbs. You can do a custom title. It doesn't have to be the page name. You can make it whatever you want. If it is the page name, generic title. You can do a custom color. Like right now it's on white. We can actually make it, let's do red for the heck of it. And then the background of it can be, that can be whatever you want to. Let's say it's gray. And it can be as tall as you want now. Default, this is 300. Let's say we make it 200. This to kind of give you an idea of what that looks like. And I hit preview. And once again, now I'll have it, it'll go right across here. Once it loads, there. And we got a fancy little title header here. This header can also be an image if you wanted to put that in there, and yada yada yada. So that is how you create a page, and that's how you use a Visual Composer to edit your content. If you wanted to edit this text, once you just click this pencil. If we wanted to move this, let's say we create a copy of the space. There's 2 spaces now. I'm going to drag this and put it underneath this header over here, or underneath this text. So now that's how you just click, drag, and drop kind of stuff. It's extremely easy, and it's very so much better than what we've been a part of. Once you're done with this, you're either going to want to save it and work on some more later, or you can actually publish it. And if you publish it, it means it's going to go into your site as an official page. It will not show up on the navigation. I will do a video of that later to come. So that is one way to do it. Let me show you another very quick way to create a page. If you have a website already and all the styling is already a part of your site, and you just want to add a page to your current site, you're going to come under here to all pages. Whoops. I guess we can save it. We'll save this page. I'll just save it as a draft for now. And then what we'll do is, as I said before, we're going to come under here to all pages, even though the page still has not completely loaded yet. The caching program is slowing everything down, even though it's supposed to speed things up. We'll hit all pages. And it's working. Now, if there's a little plugin called Duplicate Post on most of my clients' sites, I put it in because it's a real easy way to simply copy something. So the page we just made, here it is, test page. If this is a page that we've already had, and we got all the styling is already in our site, all we have to do is come down here to clone, click it, and you've created immediately a brand new page that is mimicking the page you just made. And you can quickly come in here and edit this now at this point and change the name, and then come in and change the elements. Maybe you like the layout of how the text and the pictures are already laid out. If you like that already, then you just come in and swap out the pictures and swap out the text. It's pretty much that simple. To change the title and to swap out the picture and swap out the text. So there you go. That's a very quick tutorial on how to manage the content of your website that's using Visual Composer, and how to get around creating a new page by cloning or creating one from scratch.